morning, everyone. My name is Sophia Edwards-Knox, and I am the chair of the Digital Media and Communication Department at COSTAATT's Ken Gordon School of Communication, Creative, and Digital Media. Today, your instructor is Miss Nadja Nabbie, and she will be sharing with you a little bit about script writing for film and video. Through her creative endeavors, Ms. Nabbie aims to inspire and empower others through compelling storytelling. She often focalizes themes of healing trauma and self-love in her works, and is a firm believer that education means empowerment. Apart from working diligently as a teacher over the last decade, Ms. Nabbie has developed an exam prep guide, completed a collection of short stories, and created 3 short films. I now hand you over to your very competent lecturer, Miss Nadja Nabbie.
Hi everyone, it's nice to have you all here, and it's nice to be here with you all. How are you all going? Yeah? How has the sessions been so far? What sessions have you all taken? What have you all learned? You all can just share each of you one at a time. Just a little bit of information on how has the workshops been going so far. Camilla, you want to start us off?
Well, my favorite workshop so far was the business letter writing, the news report writing, and I forget what was the other one. And I really enjoyed it. And the speakers, especially Roddy, I forgot his last name, but the first name is Roddy.
Mr. Bacha Singh.
Yes.
Mr. Roddy Bacha Singh.
Very nice. Okay, thank you. And Vanessa, what about you?
Yes, I find the workshops, it was good.
And what about Faith? You want to share a little bit?
Sure. I learned a lot from actually all of the workshops. I love them all and enjoyed them so much. I've learned so much information from all that it's like a very indecisive just to choose from like one workshop or like one of the speakers. They were really like a lot of information that I've learned and that I could use in the future. So yeah, I enjoyed all the workshops. I love them so far.
All right, I'm very happy to hear that y'all are enjoying it and y'all are having a good time, and I hope that we have a really nice time today in keeping with that spirit of joy and learning. So my session today is on script writing, as Miss Knox, said about for films and for film. All right, so let's just kind of jump into it here. So I thought we would do a little icebreaker activity. I want you again to reintroduce yourself. We all may be familiar with each other, but I'm still getting familiar with you all. So introduce yourself as giving your name and then your favorite movie genre. All right. Or you could put your favorite movie genre first and then your name. So for example, hi, I am Miss Comedy Nabbie. I love this genre because I love to laugh and it puts me in a feel-good mood. And then I also want y'all to give 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself. And we'll try to guess which one is the truth and which one is the lie. So maybe y'all can guess for me. Those are mine there. So for example, I have watched The Lord of the Rings 50+ times. I wrote 2 books and I have a pet husky named Esmeralda. Do y'all want to guess which one is the lie?
It's the first one. The
first one? Okay. Vanessa and Faith.
Last one?
Huh? The last one?
The last one?
The last one.
Yeah.
And it was, yes, the last one is a lie. I don't have any dogs. All right, so let's start. We started with Camilla just now. Let's start with Faith. Introduce yourself again to me, and you can share the genre that you like the most, why you like that genre, and then you can give us 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself, so we can kind of guess.
So my favorite genre is it's between comedy and horror. And my name is Faith. I'm a Form 5 student. I study modern studies, and 2 truths and 1 lie. Oh my. So how to say this? I love to watch K-drama. It's my favorite thing to do. I have a dog. Well, he's like a mixed dog, and another one is, oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Hold on. And my favorite food is pizza. So yeah,
Your
those
favorite
are
food
two
is
treats
pizza.
on one eye.
All right. What was the first one again?
I love to watch K-drama.
I love to watch.
K-drama, like Korean
Oh,
dramas.
oh,
Yeah.
Korean dramas. Okay. Oh, all right. So y'all want to guess which one was Eli?
The last one, pizza.
Faith, was that correct?
Correct.
Actually, no.
Oh, okay.
The dog.
I would say the first one. I would say the first one with the Korean dramas.
Yeah. I mean, I do watch it, but not like I really love it.
All right. Got you. Got you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. Vanessa, you want to go next?
I like romance mostly. I'm Form 5. I'm doing modern studies as well.
Okay, nice.
I'm Vanessa Raturam. And two truths and one lie is I love watching K-dramas. I love a boy band called BTS. And I have a parrot.
All right, y'all guess which one was Eli from us. Y'all have to make this game harder because y'all are friends. So Vanessa, she's Peter's correct?
Faith was the answer. Which one was I?
I know
I
you
think
do
so.
have a parrot.
Okay, correct.
And what about Camellia? Let's hear from Camellia.
My name is Camilla Gill at Tobago Secondary, and my favorite movie or TV show genre is drama or horror, because for drama you just get the off the edge feeling, and like you're just kind of like wondering like why, what, you know. And same thing for horror. And two truths and one lie is that I love playing netball, and I'm a loud person, and I have a dog.
Okay. I feel like I could guess your answer, but let's get answers from Vanessa and Faith. Which one do you think was
Second
it?
one is a lie.
The second one?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
second one is a lie.
Yeah, I got that impression as well. Is the second one the lie? Amelia?
Yeah.
Okay. I got an impression of you. All right, very nice. Okay. Sophia and Melvina, would you all like to join in at least for this little activity?
No.
No.
We'll allow the students the
Oh,
opportunity.
all right, no problem.
I
Okay.
can join it.
Yeah,
Two
okay,
truths and
sure.
a lie? No,
Mhm.
my favorite genre first.
Yeah, you can share your favorite genre and then you can have the two
Okay,
truths and a lie.
I love sci-fi and
Mhm.
drama. And I love sci-fi because, you know, it really explores all sorts of ideas, social ideas in creative ways, you know, ways that we don't think about, and it really brings in all of the other genres as well.
Yeah.
Two truths and a lie. One, I'm a writer. I work at Bocas Lit Fest. I have a dog.
I'll let the students guess.
I guess the last one is a lie.
Well done, that is true.
The
Oh,
first one. The first one.
No, I am a writer.
Oh my.
Last one was correct.
You do have, yeah, I don't have a copy.
I kind of
Okay.
had a dog, but it died. She died recently. So
Oh gosh. All right, I got you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you, girls, as well. Good. So we kind of have a little introduction there to ourselves. All right, let's move on. So before we jump into the class and getting into the actual meat of our story for today, with the script writing, I want us to kind of take a little time to just reflect on ourselves as writers. And I thought this would have been a nice activity since y'all have been doing other workshops in that same light of writing and kind of getting to know yourself more as a writer, especially how y'all said y'all are modern studies students. I'm sure y'all do quite a bit of writing for school, right? Yeah? I was asking.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. All right. So let's take a little time to go through this. So I want you to tell me, and I'm glad that it's just a few of you. So the session we can hear from each of you. Y'all can really get a lot from today. So I want you to think about, for me, what kinds of stories you enjoy reading or even watching, and why. The why is important. I want you to also tell me what messages do you think it's important for you to include in your writing. So messages being things like, as Miss Knox would have introduced me in the beginning, and she said how I feel like healing from trauma is important, or self-love, connecting to your body. Those are the kind of messages that I might want to include in my stories. So I want you to think about what messages you think are very near and dear to your heart that you want to include in your writing. Do you find yourself drawn to particular characters? And if so, why? Like, what types of characters you find yourself drawn to? Where and how do you get inspiration for your writing? And what do you know about the writing process? Oh, I'm sorry, your own writing process. So that means maybe you need a quiet space to write. Maybe you need to listen to music before you write. Maybe you need to exercise before you write. So do you know anything about your own writing process, and what do you know about that? We'll come to the other questions in a bit. Would you like me to give you all some time to reflect on the answers? Or do you all think you'll kind of have some answers that you all could answer right away?
Yes, honestly, like I'm not really sure, but all I know, like I don't write like just so I just write when it's like English, like in school.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
when I write, I would listen. Sometimes I'll listen to music while I write, or sometimes I would just like be in a quiet space, and then after I'll just read it over. Like, yeah.
All right, okay, I got you. All right, well, maybe if you don't necessarily write so much on your own outside of class, you could still answer question 1. You can think about question 2, like perhaps what messages are just important to you, that if you were to sit and develop your script that you would want to communicate to your audience. You could still answer number 3 as well, and we could kind of leave 4 and 5 for a time. You could kind of keep those in mind for when you get more into writing. You can answer those just on your own, just something to consider, right? So let me give you about 5 minutes. I want you to really reflect on those questions, at least 1 to 3, and then you all will share, right?
Questions.
You're not seeing the screen?
We are only
No.
seeing the script writing. We are not seeing the actual things as yet. The question.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me
We were still
reshare.
seeing the welcome screen.
Oh shucks, I had moved on from that. Okay, hold on. Let me see.
Perfect.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, we are seeing the questions now.
All right.
So in the meantime, I will pause the recording. When you're ready to resume, let me know and I will restart.
All right, great. Nice. All right. So let's hear what y'all came up with. It's okay if you were not able to really answer all of the questions, or you may need some more time to think about it. But I just thought it would be nice to reflect on these kinds of questions. Who wants to share first? Okay, yes, thank you.
I'm mostly into comedies and like comics and motivational books. Because the comics is like take your minds off things and it is the kind of nice to read. Or just see the pictures and all that and just read it.
What about the types of messages you think are important to share or communicate through writing?
Sorry, my phone just and the motivational books is actually like help bring out yourself more and like giving you ideas on how to take life, kinda. And the second one, the important one to include in the story is like, is it?
But I mean, you could share. What are some things that are near and dear to you that you would like to communicate through writing? or just is some things that you find are interesting. Anything in particular?
What's the mean?
Okay, so for example, maybe you believe that you want to share messages about girl power, for example.
Oh yeah.
Anything else? Okay,
No.
that's fine. You can reflect on it. These are some questions you all can reflect on even after the class is ended. All right, thank you so much for sharing. Let's hear from another person.
Miss Algo. So like I think mine is like motivation and self-love and like self-help books and also romance books. In general, just movies and books at the same time. Because for the romance stories or like shows that is suitable for a teenager to watch, yeah. I think it helps me to escape like from everyday life, like situations that we face, especially in school or in the real world as teenagers. It allows me to experience a thrill of love and it also to have like a positive and a hopeful outlook on life. And I think that in the self-help and like self-love books and how to love yourself, it teaches me a lot on how I should be loving myself and not to look for love from someone else, but to view it from my perspective. Um,
Mhm.
like to love myself just for being me and not to have to seek validation from someone else. And for the self-love and self-help books, it's kind of like the same thing, just like love. It's just to have a, like a positive outlook on life and not like a negative, even though we would end up in negative situations. I think we just need to have like a positive outlook on that. And for the second one, I think like for the second question, I think is like love and connection. I think when we have like a love and a connection with our own selves, I think that could teach us to love others more than trying to seek love from someone else. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
I am.
Um,
I'm following you.
yeah, trying to seek love from someone else instead of seeking it from within ourselves. So yeah, I think that. And for the third question, I think characters that I'm drawn to in movies or books are the ones that are lost and helpless. And I think at the end, it gives us a thrill that, oh, they become this such good, better person in the end of the story. I was like, that teaches us so much as well as I was saying back in the first point that I gave. It gives us like to have a positive outlook on life because even though they went through all these bad situations, they still came out better in the end of the story. And yeah, and for question four,
Mhm.
I think when I'm writing, especially for school and for school, like for English literature or English, any other writing subjects, I think I like to listen to music, especially if it's to write a story for English. It gives me a little inspiration to write, and especially being in a quiet space as well helps me. So yeah, that's it.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Excellent. And Camelia, let's hear from you.
Well, the stories I enjoy watching is mostly drama because most of the time, right, it's like when you're watching it, it's things you'll just realize that it's things that you see every day, and you could relate to them in ways that you could just relate to them, and you'll be watching it and you'll be like, oh, like this happened to me also, and you'll just be familiar with it. Um, I don't really have a message that's important to me
Mhm.
to include in my writing, but like what I'm passionate about is like I like when everybody is treated fairly, like justice. And yeah, that is one thing I'm passionate about. So,
Okay,
and
that's amazing. Uh-huh.
myself, the characters I find myself drawn to is characters that similar to me or characters that I could relate to or that I really like. Um, I don't really, I don't really have a inspo for writing. I'll just write my few too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much, each of you for sharing. Why do you think, before I answer and get into it, why do you think I have asked you this question? So why is it important to reflect on our own writing? What do you think we could get from reflecting on ourselves as writers, or reflecting on these kinds of questions?
Of good stories.
Yeah, we could. What do you mean by a good story?
Like you may never know like what you may have like deep down inside if you really think about it, and like if you
Okay,
just
yeah.
if you just like sit down and just think one day, you might just have an idea and then just write and then write from your heart and then just have a good story.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's a good answer. What about Vanessa and Faith? Why do you think I was asking you these questions, Stephen?
That's the thing for improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could improve yourself or the story, like what you write, and that you could improve it, like to make it much better, as Camila was saying. So yeah, I've not much to say on it.
No, but I like that. That's excellent. And Vanessa, why do you think I was asking you these questions? Think I'm just being buckle
As
buckle in your business?
the same as what Faith and Amelia said, we could improve yourself more. What we write, if it's to inspire other people, that's me good.
Yes, good.
And it can probably help other people as well.
Yes, you're right. Especially with the messages. Well, when we write, if you think about all of these stories that we watch, even the films that we look at, all of the stories we read in books and all of the films that we look at, there are messages in each of those stories for us to take away, right? Of course, those messages are open to our interpretation, but it's good to reflect on yourself as a writer, because exactly what y'all are saying with the self-improvement. So we can think about, how can I get better as a writer, or what do I need to do to become a really good writer? So reflecting on your own writing helps you understand, first of all, well, what do you feel passionate about? Can you all imagine you're writing a script and then you're just like, I'm not feeling the vibe on this, I don't like it. Do you all think you'll want to get to the ending of that script?
Oh, well, most of it probably going good. Yeah, but if like you want to write it and you don't have more ideas, probably not.
Yeah. So if you have no more ideas, you're running out of ideas, you might just kind of give up on it, right? So it's good to know what you feel passionate about, so you will see it through to the ending. You can reflect on your own writing to improve, and it's always good for us to kind of understand how we work so that we can just increase the efficiency of our work, right? Good. I want to ask you guys questions because, well, I want to move on, but also I know that you all are doing a variety of classes, right? So I thought it was a case where they signed up for one in particular, but I like that you all are opening yourselves to all of the different forms. That's excellent. All right, so let's jump into the objectives that I want to kind of cover in the time we have. So we're gonna look at a definition of script writing. We're gonna identify various genres of script writing. We're going to look into the basic tools that we need to create a compelling script. And finally, I will show you all how to format a script. Oh, yeah? So let's start with the definition that I found here on script writing. Is everybody seeing the screen? Did it move forward?
Yes, Mr. Sam.
Yeah? All right. So script writing or screenwriting is a process of writing stories in the screenplay medium. Script writing is writing down the movement, actions, expression, and dialogue of the characters in screenplay format. The process of writing a novel, a poem, or an essay is entirely different than script writing. In order to express yourself effectively for the screen, particular formatting methods are required, and we'll look at those particular methods. Screenplay format is used to express a story visually. Scriptwriters or screenwriters write for film, television, video games, and now even online web series. Scriptwriting can be done for hire or on speculation in hopes to sell their screenplay or find an agent. So it's just a kind of loose definition here, or some ideas on scriptwriting. When you think of a script or a screenplay, tell me what y'all are thinking of. Tell me what are some things you think you might need to incorporate into that script in order to get it completed. Characters, yes. Dialogue, very good.
Well, a story, a background.
Yes, you need your story, you need your plot. Very good. Are y'all familiar with scripts? Have y'all read scripts already? Even if it may not be screenplays.
Yes,
Yeah.
miss.
Yeah, what are some scripts that y'all read?
Yes.
Well, for English literature, yeah, we did read the scripts already.
Right. How is your script different to say a poem or a short story?
Miss, it has like the names of the characters and the lines that they have to say.
Right, very good. Excellent. Vanessa, you want to share? How do you see the script as being different to, say, a poem or a novel or a short story?
Sometimes the script is shorter and more like
Say this again?
details. Some of the script is more short and it's like sometimes some of it is more in details when that's into it.
Okay, so you're saying it's short and you're saying it has more details?
Like we just go into it.
Oh yes, yes. Because tell me what you mean by that. Go
Some
more
of it,
into it.
like when they speaking or seeing it, like we just do actions as well. The script we just act it out.
Very good.
Like that's why I mean we just go into details.
Yes. Okay, I like that. Now there's a line here. It says screenplay format is used to express the story visually. Why do you think expressing that story visually is important for your script writing?
So you have a
Because
better view or understanding on it. So you have a
Right,
better
Vanessa,
view or understanding
yeah.
on it.
Sorry, I tried to hear with the audio. Tell me again what you said.
You still have a better view or understanding of it.
Okay. When you say what you mean by it?
The script.
Okay,
When you
sure.
write.
All right. What about Camelia? What were you gonna say? When it says screenplay format is used to express a story visually, I'm asking why do you think it's important to express your story visually?
so you as a writer, you could try to invoke the feeling that you're trying to invoke to the viewers.
Yes, you wanna invoke or evoke a certain emotion in your viewers, but I want y'all to think about it for a script that is going to be turned into a film. Why is it important to focus more on the visual aspects of your storytelling?
Miss, I think to get the audience attention on the movie itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, remember you're writing for an audience, so you want to be able to capture their attention, right? So you have to use different tricks or different elements because unlike a novel, for example, we don't have a lot of time to write long descriptions for your reader to sit with that book and just, enjoy all of the different words. Or say, for example, a lot of when you read novels, do you hear that internal dialogue that the character might be having with themselves sometimes? What they're thinking, what they're feeling. But there are different ways to represent that in a script. Because if you looked at me right now and I just sat like this, would you know what I was thinking or feeling? Can you guess what I'm thinking or feeling right now? If I was just like this.
No.
No. You would guess, right? You would have to guess, but it may not be true. So with a script, you want to be very clear how you are having your characters express themselves. So that's why it says in the start of the definition, writing down the movement, actions, expression, and dialogue of your characters. So that way your audience could understand what is going on with them. We clear on this? Any questions? Any questions? No? Okay. All right. So let's look at some genres of script writing, which you all are kind of identified. So we have comedy, action, romance, horror, drama, science fiction. Is there anything more that you want to add to the list? I feel like y'all said a few of these in the start. Any other genres y'all are familiar with?
Let's look at the comics.
Huh?
Comics.
Sometimes, Vanessa, when you're talking, sometimes your mic is kind of going in and out.
Mr. Ian,
Yes.
comics, you could add that as well.
Comics? Oh, well, I
Yeah.
guess I'll go on a comedy. These are some of like the bigger genres, so we kind of capture it there. Okay. But something to consider or even look into, right? Different genres. All right, let's talk about this. This might be a little bit of a refresher from school. So we spoke about script writing generally speaking, but let's kind of, before we even get into formatting that script and putting that script together, we need a story to tell, right? So storytelling is the basics, is the foundation of your script. So that's why I thought it would be important for us to kind of touch on the basics of storytelling and the tools that you will need to create a compelling script. So I'm sure that you all may be familiar with these terms. Are you? Yeah?
Yes, Miss.
I'm sure you're hearing these terms since SCA, Form 1, Form 2. So can you all give me definitions for these? Faith, what would be the definition or your understanding of the plot?
The main idea.
The main ideas. Okay,
Like
what do
the
you mean by
ov-
the main ideas?
like the overview of the story.
Okay, all right. Camelia, what do you understand by the term plot?
Just I would say the overview.
Huh?
Story.
Oh, the overview. When you say overview, what you mean?
It's like the plot was set up theme and mood.
The plot is the sequence of events. So all of the events that take place from the start to the finish of the story, we call that the plot, right? Good. What about character? What is it? Who is a character?
The persons who've taken part in it.
Yes, right? The storyline that we're following. Can a character be a token animal or a token robot or a house or a dog? Are you hearing me?
Almost.
Yeah. So characters are not always people, right? And that's the beauty of a fictional story. What is setting?
Miss, like the time and place that the story is being taken at.
Yes. And what about team? What is team?
It's like the vibe that you'll get throughout the story.
Not necessarily. That's more like the mood or the tone, which is also an element to consider, but not quite. Someone else want to try for a theme?
Miss, I think it's the underlying message that the author is trying to get to the audience.
Yes, very good. Which is why I asked you that question in the start, right? What messages do you think are important to communicate? Because when you think about that, you can think, okay, this could be the theme of my script. All right. Why do you think language? When I say language, what do I mean by language?
Formal or informal.
Yeah, formal or informal, but all of the words that we use to kind of put together that script, those words are important, right, to consider. And do y'all know, are y'all familiar with the term spectacle?
Miss, I've heard it before.
You've heard it
I
before.
think it's to like it's like a visual, like to get the reader attention, to capture their attention, like to imagine what they're reading in their mind, something like that. Yeah, I
Yes,
think.
you're right about capturing the attention and it being visual, but spectacle can also be audio. It can also be things like lighting, your props. So spectacle is anything that is sort of grand and spectacular. So spectacular spectacle, that will kind of captivate your audience. Spectacle is something that we discuss when we talk about scripts. We don't necessarily talk about spectacle when we look at poetry or when we look at novels. So spectacle is very much important to understand for script writing. When you view a film, what are some things that make that, besides the storyline and the characters, I want you to think about what are some aspects of the let's say it's a movie that would make that movie compelling for you. Maybe the lighting.
Miss, I think the colors in the movie.
Hmm?
The colors in the movie itself. Like
Okay,
if
the
it's like,
colors.
yeah.
Tommy, go ahead. But like if it's what?
Like if it's like gray, like if it's like a gray or black movie, some viewers would find it like boring to watch. But if it has like a lot of colors in it, I think yeah, it would make the movie more fun.
Okay. Okay, good. Vanessa?
Mr. Repeat, please. Can you repeat on what you said just now, please?
Yes, I was asking you what is some, when you watch a film, what are some aspects of that film that might make it very interesting for you to look at?
The characters. Like if we played on a different like show and we played on that one, that could be more interesting. That's it.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Think about an action film, for example, right? So we have, let's say it's an action film. We have two characters, they're fighting each other. What would make that fight scene interesting visually? Not, don't tell me about the characters as yet, or the or even the theme, the message. What might make a fight scene very interesting? What might create spectacle in a fight scene?
The objects that they use to fight with.
Yeah, the objects that they use to fight
Fighting
with.
each other.
Yeah, perhaps
way
the
they
way
fight.
that they, yeah, because you know they choreograph fight sequences in movies, right? It's a person who will choreograph how the whole thing goes down. What about like if they had loud explosions, so the sounds that they might use, right? All of those aspects make up the spectacle of your script, in your script. All right, is there any questions on this?
No.
Okay, be comfortable, right? All right, let's move on. So I'm going to play a little video for you now. We're going to focus on one aspect of the script alone, which is the plot, right? Because I think, especially as y'all are now kind of getting into it, kind of getting an understanding of how to write a script, developing your story, the plot is actually something that's important for us to look into and to have an idea of how is that plot put together in the first place, so that we can begin to kind of map out our story and then use our script writing format, which we will get to put everything together. So let me know if you are hearing this, but I'm gonna play the video for you. Are y'all hearing it?
No, we're not.
Oh gosh, okay.
When you're sharing, you will see something to the bottom that says on the bottom left saying share audio. So
okay.
you can stop sharing, try sharing it again, and you'll see.
All right, got you.
Click the box that says share audio.
Oh, share sound.
Share sound.
Right. Got you. All right, Tommy.
No, we're still not hearing it.
Yeah. Hello, I have to get back to the screen.
what is the three-act structure?
Yeah, no?
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Every magic trick consists of 3 parts, or acts.
Perhaps no rule in screenwriting is more important than the three-act structure. Nearly every major Hollywood movie today uses this format in some way.
Formulas work. Let's stick with the formulas. I like formulas.
But the three-act structure can take many shapes and sizes and isn't as restrictive as one might think.
Okay then, Mr. Lightbeer, prove it.
All right, then I will.
This is what is the three-act structure? Before we begin, be sure to subscribe and click the bell for more filmmaking videos. For this video, we spoke with author and story expert K.M. Weiland about how the three-act structure works.
I'm Cam Weiland, and I run the writing website Helping Writers Become Authors, and have written books like Structuring Your Novel and Creating Character Arcs.
The three-act structure refers to a framework in which to tell your story. This means a three-act structure is primarily focused on shaping a writer's plot, since story refers to the events which occur in your screenplay, and plot is how that story is told. The 3 acts differ in length. Act 1 is the first 25% of a film, Act 2 is the next 50%, and Act 3 is the last 25%. Not every film follows this structure.
That made no sense.
And the films which do follow it don't all follow it in the same way. K.M. Weiland explains that following these conventions doesn't have to result in a lack of creativity.
So a lot of people feel that structure can be too limiting for a story or create a story that's formulaic. And this is actually the farthest thing from the truth. What structure does is provide a framework into which the story can then take many different forms. But also specifically, it's a guideline for creating a resonant psychological transformation, because this is ultimately what story is. And so if you can understand kind of the skeleton underneath that, then you can create all kinds of stories on top of that. I particularly like the analogy of thinking of story structure as a gift box. So it's always a cube, it always has wrapping paper and a bow and looks kind of the same, but what's inside of that gift can be anything. It could be a puppy or a video game or a cookbook. So the possibilities are endless.
According to Weiland, one film perfectly encapsulates the potential of a three-act structure.
Jurassic Park is, in my opinion, a masterpiece of structure. And one of the reasons for that is because of how well it balances plot and character. So when we think of this movie, we generally think of like a really full-on intense action movie. But in fact, there's basically no action until the midpoint in this story. It's all character up to that point. And it's just so beautifully and powerfully done that by the time we get to the midpoint and all the action, we are super invested in these characters and this dilemma that they find themselves in.
Weiland has taken the three-act outline and further broken it down into 8 parts. The first of which is the hook. The opening of your film must answer one question above all else. Why should the audience keep watching? As Weiland puts it,
I like to think of the hook as the first domino in the row of dominoes that is your story. And even though it isn't necessarily going to immediately immerse your audience in the main conflict that your characters will be experiencing, it is related, and it's going to be that first thread that gets pulled that eventually leads into that full-on immersion with the main conflict. And obviously the primary point and objective of the hook is to hook your audience into the story and to make them interested enough to keep going with it. The best way to do this, in my opinion, is to get them to ask a question.
What do you believe in, huh? What do you believe in?
Whether implicitly or explicitly, you want them to be asking, what is that? What's that about? Or simply, what's going to happen next? So that they're interested enough to keep going.
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you
stranger.
often a good hook opens in medias res, meaning in the midst of things. Fast 5 opens with an action-packed jailbreak before delivering any exposition. Hooks should also serve as a taste of what's to come. By the end of your film's hook, the audience may still have questions, but they know enough that they are invested. Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park has a thrilling hook which is filled with mystery. The scene begins in medias res. First, we aren't sure what the army of workers are anticipating. And once we see the container, we're wondering what's inside it.
And particularly because they don't show us what's in the cage, there's this hook, there's this question that the film gets us to ask as viewers, which is, what is that? What's going on? I mean, we know it's a dinosaur because we saw the movie poster and we saw the trailer, but the very fact that they're not showing us the dinosaur, on top of the fact that we have all of this drama and suspense, and finally the guy getting eaten, is a fantastic hook.
Shoot her! Shoot!
All right. So this is quite a long video. We won't watch all of it, but I thought some of the ideas that they shared there in the opening were nice for you all. Especially that concept of the hook and also the structure of the plot. All right, let me see. I'm trying to get back that part of the video on screen.
Above all else.
Yeah, there's it.
Weiland has taken the 3-act outline and further broken it down into 8 parts.
All right, so let's discuss this. Right? Are y'all seeing on the screen the 3-act structure and how it's kind of set up?
Yes, miss.
Yeah. All right. So similar to, so we have 3 acts. What do you think if we had to give a title to each of those acts, like a bigger title? Act 1 being the introduction. Act 2, what might we call that? Think of how you all write.
Like the body.
The body, very good. And Act 3 being the
Conclusion.
conclusion. Every piece of writing that you will do, whether it's a script, whether it's a story, even essays, they have that same general structure, right? Introduction, body, conclusion. Now, when you're writing your script, you will have your hook. What did they say the hook is? We got some information on the video on the hook. What did they sort of explain to us a hook is?
Yes, I think that the hook is something that is catch the attention, the audience attention.
Sorry, yes, that's correct. Yes, so the hook is anything that kind of captures your attention and draws in your viewer, right? Because in this case, you have a viewer, not a reader. Good. Then from your hook, we get to the inciting event. What do you think that term inciting event means? I'm sure you might have come across that in your story writing classes at school.
Uninteresting.
Something that is interesting.
Okay, great. No, sorry, I didn't hear you. I wasn't hearing you, so I was just making sure we didn't lose you.
Oh, yeah. All right. I hope y'all don't mind all this sneezing and coughing. I apologize. I'm kind of recovering here from a cold. Right. We were talking about the inciting event. What do you all understand by that term? Or have you met that term already or not?
Miss, I think it's like going to be building up on what is going to happen in the middle of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Inciting event is something that sparks the problems or the obstacles that the character faces, right? So you can think about it like this. Your character is having a nice, fine time until something happens that throws them off completely, right? And that is sort of what your inciting event is. Something that sparks the conflict in your story. We don't need to get into all of this all of the different elements per se, I think, today, especially as y'all are beginners. But I do want you to have an idea. So after the inciting event, I'm thinking inciting incident because that's what I say. Then you get into the different points of your action, right? And the events that sort of begin to unfold to kind of draw your reader in more and develop the conflict in the story. In your creative writing class at school, what might you call that? What happens next? So we have the introduction to the story, we have an event that sparks a conflict, and then what comes next, generally speaking. I'll just take this off for now.
The rise in action.
The rise in action, yes. And that is sort of essentially how a script is built up. So where you see your first plot point, your first pinch point, your midpoint, your second pinch point, even all of that, third plot point, all of that entire section there is the rising action. What do you know happens in the rising action of a story?
Conflict does build.
The conflict builds up, yes. Why do you think conflict is important? Why do you think a writer would focus on so much? Look at how big that section might be, Act 2 with the conflict and the development of the conflict. Why do you think that is a key part of your plot? And why do you think a writer might focus on the conflict in the story?
But I think that if it don't add a conflict, then it won't really be interesting for the viewers to watch.
Correct. Exactly. It's not interesting. So can you imagine you were watching a film and the character said, hey, today I feel like getting ice cream. And then they go to the ice cream shop and they got ice cream and they went back home. Would you feel like you wasted your money watching that?
I know.
Yeah? You might think, I could have spent my money that I came to see this film on ice cream for myself. I didn't need to come to watch this. So your conflict is important because it creates that element of it captures the viewer's attention, right? And keeps them hooked to continue watching on and on and on. Now, in your stories, your character comes into conflict, right? What are some when we kind of developing when we are developing our scripts and we have our character in the opening, usually we follow their journey throughout the story, not so? Yeah?
Yes, miss.
Right. Usually your character wants something and the story follows whether they're able to achieve that or not. So let's talk about some films that you'll like. Faith, give me a film you like. Tell me what your character wanted in that film and give me one or two problems that they faced on their journey.
Miss, it would be Black Adam.
Okay. So who was the character and what did they want?
Well, I can't remember how it went really, because I watched it like a long time ago, but I knew they wanted the it's like kind of like this rock or something that they wanted. Like I can't remember it, miss, that much. And yeah, they wanted that. Yeah. I can't
Okay.
remember it that much.
Do you remember any obstacles they faced on their quest to
Yes,
obtain
because
that?
the obstacles that they faced, miss, is that other like evil people wanted it as well, miss, to use the powers from it. So yeah. Miss, I hope I saying these things correct because I can't remember it that much.
That's okay. Thank you so much. All right, well, let's hear from Vanessa and Camilla. Tell me a story of a film that you really enjoyed. Who was the main character? What did they want? And an obstacle that they had to face on their journey.
Mine will be Grey's Anatomy. And one of the characters was it had to pick Meredith Grey, and what she really wanted in life was love, and it took a while for her to get it, and then when she ended up getting it, she ended up losing it, so I can't.
Interesting. Good. And Vanessa.
Twilight
Mm-hmm.
is a movie, but it have about 5 parts, I think.
Yeah.
And the main character was Bella and Edward. I'm not sure if I say the name correct.
Yes.
Those are the two main characters. It was about he's a vampire, Edward is a vampire, and he wanted she, but he couldn't because he'd I feel like have by chance to insurance someone or something like that. And then I said real people wanted like to put them apart, and she best friend wanted them to be apart because he wanted she as well. Yeah.
Good. Very good. So as you can tell, each of those stories that you all shared, they all had a character who wanted something and faced problems, right? And that is sort of your general idea of how you want to sort of kind of build up the plot line of your story, of your script. So after we get to the rise in action, we come to this highest point in the story, which is called the climax, right? What do you all know about that term climax? What usually happens around that point in your story or your film? Girls, you all heard the question?
Miss, I could repeat.
Yes, the climax. When after the rise in action comes the climax. What do you know about that point in the film? The climactic point of the film.
Most like it will be very chaotic.
Yes, it's often very chaotic. Anything else about the climax?
Miss, sometimes in the climax, the characters are faced with a decision making. Yeah.
Very good, excellent. And Vanessa, what do you know about the climax?
Miss, I also think there's like an emotional intensity in the climax itself.
Yes, very good. The climax is usually that highest point in the story. It's the most intense. It's where the conflict is really built up to a point where it's like, as you said, the character comes now to kind of face almost the biggest decision thus far, and it's at point of a lot of intensity. So emotional intensity, even the action at that point might be at its highest. And following the climax, what comes next? After your climactic point, what happens after that in the story?
Yes, I think the character makes their decision, and then like, whatever decision they make, that's the outcome of the entire movie.
Very good. And what do we call that section where we find out the outcome of the conflict? So we have rise in action, we have climax. What comes next?
That's what it be like the conclusion.
Not the conclusion just yet. The conclusion is the ending of it, where things are kind of wrapped up and we have an idea of
That's the falling action.
the falling action. Very good. Yes. The falling action comes after the climax. So as you can follow, if you follow the lines here on the screen, you'll realize that it's kind of going up, it's getting rocky, and then you have that point where you see around 8 where the climax is, you have that drop. Are y'all seeing that?
Yes, miss.
Yeah, that's where your story is kind of coming to an end, and then your conflict is being resolved, or maybe for the better or for the worse, but things are coming kind of unwinding, to take your viewer now out of that experience of the conflict and out of that experience now of the story, coming to the ending of the story. All right, so we want to do a little activity here. Let me just get this. Let me just reshare this. Hold on. Sorry, I just oh, I'm just getting back the presentation. I want us to work on an activity here where we create our own little stories. All right, are you all seeing the screen?
No.
Yes? No? Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me see. Just give me a second here. Let me just sort this out. present a view. Okay. All right. Okay. So we want to work on a little activity here now in our workshop where we are coming up with those different parts of the story, but we're going to do it as a storyboard, right? So ideally, I would like you to hold on.
This is for you. I think that's a good.
That's okay. Can you all see this here?
Hello.
Are you all yeah, are you all seeing me where my screen is?
Yes, miss.
Yeah. All right. So I'm showing you. So we're going to do a storyboard exercise where you are going to come up with the different parts of the story, but you may not really, I don't want you to write anything too heavy. I kind of want you to focus on the pictures, because usually for scripts, what a writer might do, and even a group of writers might get together and create a script, they might come up with a storyboard, right? So the storyboard is a visual representation of each part of the script. So just as we followed the different parts of the plot, the opening, the exposition, the rise in action, the climax, falling action, and resolution, as we just spoke about that, I want you to, where you see how each of those boxes are, that little box space, I want you to draw, and the reason I'm doing this is because it'll get you an idea of visually how you want to represent it to your viewer. I want you to draw for me, and you can do it in your notebook, or if you have a nice blank folder page, you can separate it into 5 parts. So the 5 parts being exposition, rise in action, climax, fall in action, and resolution. And I want you to draw for me what might be taking place in that particular section of the story, and you can write underneath, like where you see these lines here, you can write underneath a little description as to what might be taking place.
Ms. Nabbie, can I suggest that you maybe stop sharing just briefly so that they can get to see you on full screen, because it's coming through pretty small.
Sure, okay.
What you're holding on to. So if you
yeah, are you also, is okay now?
Maybe a little bit better. I don't know if the girls are seeing it.
Girls, are you all seeing it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's a picture representing that part of the story. So the introduction, rise in action, climax, fall in action, and resolution, right? Let me see if I got another one as well.
Miss, so we drawing our own one?
Yeah, you are creating your own story, right? So you're doing pictures for each part of the story. So the introduction, rise in action, climax, fall in action, resolution. Is this one a little bit clearer?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Right. And what you will write for me is underneath each of the pictures, you will put for me a little description of what is taking place at that point in the story. So I wanted to leave it open for you as opposed to give you a prompt, but I'm thinking it might be better if I give them a prompt. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let me just get the prompts here from my book.
Because if they have to follow the story, it means they need to see the script, that the drawings you have, and it'll be difficult for them to remember all of it without having to see it.
No, they're coming up with their own
okay, fine. Yes, I get you.
Story.
Yes.
But I'll give a prompt because I was thinking maybe if they had an idea of stories that they wanted to tell, they might have a but I can give them a prompt. That's fine. So I have a prompt here. Let me just put it on the I wonder if I can put it on the presentation. Maybe I can put it in the chat.
Sure.
All right, so the instructions.
Unless you want to put it back on, you didn't have it in the PowerPoint and you want to share it on the screen.
Yeah, let me type it onto the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the prompt here is Maria was reckless, very reckless. Everyone knew that she'd live to regret it one day. So your instructions are that you're creating a storyboard being that picture representation for each section of the plot. And we spoke about those 5 sections of the plot just now for this prompt. In terms of time for the exercise, I really want you all to spend some time and really work on this. So I'm thinking I'll give you all 15 minutes and then you can share. 15 minutes should take us to 12:15. And then y'all can share. Let me give you 12 minutes. Even if you did the
Now
introduction.
11:56. So I am guessing that if you give them maybe until 10 past, that's 14 minutes roughly.
Yeah, let's do 10. Let's do 10 minutes, right? Even if they came up with a general idea, you know, and they could kind of work on flesh it out post class. But yeah, let's kind of get something going at least for our plot, or a general idea of what we might want that story to entail. And then I'll check in with y'all in 10 minutes to see where y'all are at, what y'all are coming up with, and we'll move on from there, right? Okay, so I'm putting the timer on 10 minutes. All right, so it's okay if you weren't able to complete it. At least you started to come up with that plot line for your story. So let's hear from each of you where you got to and maybe where you were thinking about taking the story. So Faith, start us up. Tell us what's happening in the opening of your story and where you want to take your story.
So like what I wrote and what I drew was about Maria, that her parents were at a young age. Her parents were extremely rich, like had like all the wealth in the world. And from a young age, she started living a reckless life. Even in school, she would bully other students and so on. Yeah. And then after her parents died, after she got a little older and her parents died, she got all the fortune of her parents, which caused her to leave school because she know that she have all this money in her hands. She don't need education again. That she doesn't benefit anything from that because she has like 40 billions of dollars in her hand. Could say yeah. So after that, she went to parties. She bought a bunch of clothes for her and her friends and bought unnecessary things. Went to parties and even she started gambling by the influence of her friends. After that, years now passed, she realized that she has no more money remaining, like what she used to have from before. So she started borrowing from other people, which led to continuously kept borrowing, that people started asking her back for money. That the fact that they started asking her, people was threatening to kill her now because she could not have paid them back the money because she gambled out all the money. And in the end, when people saw what was happening, they knew that she was going to be living a poor life because after all that loss of money, she lost her family house and she ended up living on the side of the street. So that's what I reached in my story.
Okay, sounds very interesting and very imaginative for such a short space of time. Excellent job. Okay, Vanessa or Camilla, can we hear from who wants to go next? Vanessa, thanks.
I thought Maria was pregnant, but she wasn't really good at school and things. She was at like break classes, and one day she got pregnant. And then like everybody gets to know and herself. And from there, she didn't really have enough money or financial things to support the child and things. And then she started to regret it.
All right, interesting. An interesting story there as well. Thank you so much. And Camilla, what are your ideas for your story?
Well, for my own, my character Maria was for me was adventurous, and she was that type of person that liked to break rules and stuff like that. So, like when she parents would be sleeping at night, she's that person that would sneak out and go and have fun and stuff, right? So one day
Maria ended up bouncing up this friend named Kimberly, and she and Kimberly had went to this place named Sunnyside Cove, and that place had like a lot of rocks. And that day they was playing and they was having fun, they was hanging out and stuff. And then Maria ended up slipping on one of the rocks and breaking her foot. And Kimberly didn't even know what to do. So Kimberly ran and left Maria there by herself.
And that's where you got to?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. You have any ideas for where you want to take it, or you're at that point you still kind of decided where to go next?
First, Kimberly first went up. Well, when Kimberly left, right? I would say Maria didn't have no phone or anything like that to get in contact with her parents. So she had to like crawl her way out of the cove to try and get help, and then she might meet someone, and then that someone ended up calling 911, and then she ended up being rushed to the hospital.
Yeah.
And at the hospital, she parents will meet her there, and they'll be very angry but relieved that she's like kind of okay at the same time. And then yeah.
Okay, I like it. Very good girls, very creative and imaginative. And like I said, especially for that short space of time that y'all had to come up with these stories, y'all should feel very proud of yourselves. So I don't know if you realize, I'm taking everything in steps, right? So the first part with the reflection was all about how do I come to an idea of the type of story that I want to tell, that I would feel passionate about, something that I feel connected to, so I can see my script to the ending. And then we start to think now about the story. So we have those tools in our toolbox. So we're going to use plot, characters, setting, spectacle, language, all of that to put together our script. And we didn't get to go into each of those parts because, you know, each of those elements of a story, you can take each of one separately and really workshop each element on its own. But I like the idea of the plot and introducing you onto that 3-act structure that most films, most screenplays are usually that's the kind of guidelines or framework that you'll write your story, right? And so we started to come up here now with the storyline. What's gonna be the story that we want to tell? How might we think about it visually with the pictures? How would we want to communicate that to our audience? What do we want them to see? And we put it together the different parts of that story, right? So from there, once you have all of those elements in place and you have that general outline, you want to come now to begin to write your script. So even though we're going to focus now on how to format the script, that is just one element. There's a lot of work that you have to actually put in before you get to that point, right? Or at least how I am kind of teaching you in terms of that process. You can use this approach. So when we get to our scripts now, this is essentially what we want our scripts to look like. So the section in the center is the script, and on the side we have it's the annotations to the different parts. So your script is formatted in terms of scenes. Every scene, we have a new scene, whether that scene starts inside of a place or on the outside. But what I will do actually is I'm going to play you this video, which I think really breaks it down very nicely. And we'll just go back quickly to that and we'll look to wrap up from there. All right.
You got ideas for a killer screenplay.
I'd have to reshare with the volume. Or are y'all hearing it?
We hearing this.
Y'all are hearing it? And is it full screen?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, great.
You know the story cold. But sometimes the screenplay format can stifle your creativity. What if you had some sort of guide? But why do we even need to format? We format because screenplays are written to be produced. Formatting correctly isn't stylistic. It's necessary for first ADs to break down your script into characters, props, costumes, etc. in software like StudioBinder. All scenes start with a scene heading, or slug line, to tell the reader where the action is happening. A slug line is a location followed by a time. Your location can be anywhere, from a specific place, to a general idea, to a totally real boarding school. Time is usually what time of day it is, like this, or that. And continuous if the action carries onward from the previous scene, and use flashbacks if you're writing for Westworld. The first part of a slugline states whether your location is inside or out. If your location is outside, it'd be an exterior, and get the abbreviation EXT. Sluglines can be both, as is often the case with moving vehicles. But every location needs action. Consider this scene from Spider-Man.
Pete?
How strange. There's nobody here.
But what would it look like on a screenplay? Did you imagine something like this? The key to successful action is to keep it visual and in the present tense. Leave interior thoughts to the novels. While there are no hard and fast rules for capitalization, there are a few guidelines. As a rule of thumb, you want to capitalize character names the first time they appear, sound effects and interjections, and important details, like a prop or a plot twist. Formatting dialogue is pretty straightforward.
Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous man is beset on all sides by the iniquities of the selfish and the tyranny of evil men.
You have your character ID, followed by the words they utter. It's pretty simple. Throw an extension next to a character ID to tell us how the dialogue is heard. When a character speaks over the action, on a radio or walkie-talkie, when the characters speak off-screen, but we can't see them yet. You know when dialogue starts in the scene before it, like this?
So now that NASA can talk to me, they won't shut up. They want constant...
That's called pre-lap. It's marked just like any other extension. But if you want to show how a character says a line, you use a parenthetical. Going right under a character ID, a center-justified parenthetical changes how characters speak. Like this.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Transitions. Put transitions right justified between two scenes. The most popular transition is cut to. It emphasizes how quickly the editor should move on to the next scene. But there's plenty of other transitions writers use. And if you want the editor to cut between two scenes consistently, usually for a phone call, that's called an intercut. It goes right where you put the transition. If you're staying in one location and want to move within it or skip ahead, you use subheaders to move locations within a scene. Formatted after an action line, you press enter and capitalize. Why don't we see some examples?
Voice. A sign. Something.
Don't worry, Andy's gonna take care of us. I guarantee it.
But to be clear, a subheading isn't the same as a shot. Exterior, freeway overpass, day.
Anyway, I got places to be, a face to fix, and oh!
Formatted in all caps, like an action line, a shot directs our attention to a visual. To start a montage, enter these words above the short scenes you want to string together. and end it the same way you started it. Got lyrics? Then it's important to keep in mind that one page equals roughly 1 minute of screen time. Since lyrics take up little page space but require much time, one option is to space out the lyrics on the page. The other option is to describe the music sequence instead of listing out each lyric, like Damien Chazelle did in La La Land.
A waste of a lovely night.
You say there's nothing here. Well, let's make something clear. I think I'll be the one to make that call.
Chirons. They're the text that appears over the screen. Under a scene heading, you start an action line with the word chiron in all caps and put the text after. Some screenwriters use the word title instead.
It absolutely makes sense. You're a janitor who snakes toilets with his bare hands. So my hands.
Now that you know the ins and outs of screenplay format, you can get back to telling your story. It's time to get writing. Enjoy this video? Like it.
Right, so as you could tell, there's a whole lot that goes into formatting that screenplay, right? And basically everything you see on your screen is actually written into the script. So the way the character would move, the way they would say their lines, even cut into another scene, where they said like intercut, where it's one scene but then another scene appears and then it goes back to that scene. I thought that's so when I started to learn about script writing, I thought it was so interesting that every single thing you see in a film, it's all written into the script. And then there are some more advanced scripts where they even tell you how the camera would move, so and how the scene is shot. Any questions on that, the formatting of the script? What are your thoughts on it? Do you find it very interesting? Do you think it's kind of daunting? Are you excited by it?
Yes, it sounds complicated.
It sounds so in the start, but I think like any writing, once you practice and practice, you get the hang of it, you know? And there's a lot, as you realize, there's a lot to take in terms of the formatting aspect of it. Thank you so much. Camilla, you want to share your thoughts?
Miss, I had no seat, I just slowly.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was Vanessa speaking. All right, Vanessa and Faith, any thoughts you all want to share?
Yes, I found it really interesting and I really liked it.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Good. And Vanessa?
Yes, I found it interesting as well.
Good. I'm glad you'll find it interesting. So it might seem a little complicated, but once you have the general idea of the scene heading, you always have a scene heading at the start of every scene. So I'm sharing my screen here where you see in the script, right? The example of the script.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So what did the video say the EXT and the INT means? EXT means y'all remember from the video?
No, miss.
All right, it means exterior, so we know it's taking place outside. INT means interior, means it's taking place inside. So usually you have your scene heading, which consists of whether it's inside or outside, and your setting. And then you have your description of perhaps more details on whether it's setting or your characters. And you have your transitions, usually tell you how the camera, how to edit, right? So there are different elements to actually put in the script together. Is there any questions on this? I know there might be a lot of questions, but today is just was more kind of imagining our session as a beginner's workshop. So you kind of get an idea of how it looks, how it works, some titles or the jargon associated with script writing. And well, we spoke about stories and putting together that story, and we now have to take that story that you all would have come up with and translate it now into this, so that we can actually begin to develop that script, right? Is there any questions for me?
No, miss.
No? No questions at this time? All right. No problem. So we have come to the ending of our session, more or less. Before we wrap up, we just have 2 minutes. I want you to just share with me 3 interesting pieces of information that you might be taking away from our class today. Maybe each of you could share one, because we don't have too much time left. So Faith, let's start with you. Give me something interesting that... Oh, Vanessa, go ahead. Go ahead, Vanessa. Huh?
Max, you can speak, go ahead.
Yeah, an interesting piece of information that you will be taking away from the session today.
Miss, well, the interesting thing was we was able to go the script. That was nice.
Okay, good. Faith?
Miss, the thing that I took away from this session today, was that I think, well, really, it's not like that, but I got to use and engage my mind more in like a visual process in the script of drawing and writing and imagining things. Like playing it, imagine it in my mind and then writing it out and drawing it out. So yes, and also on writing essays, I think it helped me a lot when you explained with the setting and the plot and so on like that. It helped me a lot. So yeah, it will definitely help me in my essays. So thank you very much.
Welcome. And Camelia, I know something interesting that you might be taking away from today's session.
Even though the script was a little like complicated, like you explained it well, it was kind of helpful because we're doing part of it in English B for the exam next year for multiple choice, so it was good to know more about it. And yeah.
Good. All right, I'm glad to hear that because I really tried to tailor the session in a way that it would be relevant to your level and things that you would also kind of be able to connect with that you are actually looking at in terms of school, right? Rather than we get into all of this here. But it's good for us to have an idea of how the script is put together, how it looks. I like the information in the video that you all would have gotten. But good, I'm very happy to hear that. All right, before we wrap up, I just have one little bonus to share with you. These are some writing tips that I found to be, as I wrote more and more, these are some things that I figured I would kind of share with you, right? So the first thing that if you were writing your script, your screenplay, you could even use this for your stories in school. The goal of your first draft, remember writing is a process. So unlike exam time where you just write one thing and you submit it and then your teacher gives you a grade, in real life writing, you have enough time to write a draft, edit your draft, edit it some more, and then you can submit, right? Or publish or put your film into execution in terms of actually filming it. So the goal of your first draft should always be to write a bad draft because you can always edit it. We often think that, oh my goodness, this needs to be perfect from the start. And because you think it needs to be perfect, you get scared, you don't want to write anymore, your mind goes blank. Can you all relate to that? Feeling like if it has to be perfect and then your mind goes blank? Yeah? Right, but actually, the goal of your first draft is that it should be the worst version because it could only get better from there, right? A tip I would also leave you with is you should keep an inspiration book handy because you never know when a good idea could strike. How many of y'all had a dream and y'all were like, "Ooh, that could be a good film, or that could be a good novel"?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have your inspo book as you get up, you're like, oh, this is kind of fresh. Let me write this down before I have to get ready to go to school. Or maybe, let's say you were walking around and you get some good ideas and you're like, that's a nice line. So you keep your inspo book handy, right? And it shouldn't be something huge, it should be tiny so you can keep it on your person. You can also try this activity. It's recommended by a very famous writer. There's a whole book on it. It's called Morning Pages, where you make a habit of writing 3 pages of word vomit in a journal every day as you start of your day. So you get up in the morning, the first thing you do, you're writing your 3 pages. So where it says word vomit, it's literally that, where you are just writing all of the random thoughts that comes to your mind. So the idea is that you're clearing out all of that brain space so that all your creative juices can start flowing throughout the day, and you're able to, kind of maximize on your creativity. You can also study other writers and study elements of craft. So as we did, plot, character setting, those would be the elements of craft. And you can look at other writers to see how they are sort of developing their scripts or their stories, so that you can get inspiration or get ideas on how you can kind of complete yours, right? And finally, the most important rule of writing is to write, and write. The more you practice is the better you get at it, and it's the easier it becomes, or sometimes it remains as challenging, but you have a lot more tools in that toolbox in order to help you tell the story that you really want to tell. And that's it. Thank you so much for attending this session today. I hope that you all really got something rich and enlightening out of it. And it was nice to meet you. It was really nice to be your instructor.